Good evening. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and welcome to Pause. Coming up on this episode, we'll be talking about the Show Me Justice Film Festival. That's coming up right now on Pause. And thank you so much for tuning us in here on KMOS for Pause. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and joining us tonight are two of my colleagues here from the University of Central Missouri, Dean Grisham Nelson, who is with the university's College of Humanities and Social Sciences and Arts, and Dr. Mark von Schlemmer, who is a faculty member within that college. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Show Me Justice Film Festival, its origins, and how the festival began.
Well, the Show Me Justice Film Festival represents one of the very special assets that an institution such as a university or a college can provide for the community. Here at the University of Central Missouri, we assumed responsibility for the Show Me Justice Film Festival in 2011. It had previously been attempted by some community members, and it was very clear to a number of us that the university was better equipped to take over and run that very special asset in the interest of the community. I was strategically positioned as Dean of the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences to provide the intellectual infrastructure necessary to conceive of the most effective way of developing and delivering a film festival. I was fortunate at the time to have Dr. von Schlemmer, who was a visiting instructor at the university and in my college at the time. And in as much as he had the requisite qualifications and interest, it was very easy for us to have conversations about a film festival and to build excitement and momentum, to bring the community as an integral part of this operation and deliver, I think, what was a credible film festival in 2011. Subsequently, we have built on it. We have thought through some of the dynamics, and I think today von Schlemmer would agree that we're at a point in the film festival where we can aspire to get to the very next level of delivery. Among the very special contributions of films is not only the fact that it requires very special expertise in cinematography and in the use of technology, but the profound stories that films can convey. In fact, when we combine the notion of justice with a very effective delivery mechanism, I think we can communicate broadly and deeply. In fact, we have a clip that we will show that captures the very essence of film as communication, as film as a powerful way of providing information and that otherwise would not be conveyed. In this case, I'm going to ask Dr. von Schlemmer to introduce this film that I think captures the heart of a number of our attendees last year.
Yeah, so this film is Conviction, and it was a 60-minute film from last year that we featured in the film festival, and it was directed by Brenda Trulson-Fox, and she was able to join us along with her co-producer and editor. And then what really was a great added great element to the festival was that two of the subjects of the film came as well. And the film is about nuns that are doing civil disobedience acts in their work for peace. And in the clip, you'll see a little bit of each of them and a little bit of what they're about.
It was very powerful and inspiring. So now let's take a look at a clip from that film.
Our faith leads us to act against war, to act against the illegal criminal actions of our government, which had to do with war being imminent, the threatening to use this weapon of mass destruction on God's people, and the fact that this Minuteman III was on high trigger alert.
No one knows that we live on hair trigger alert, the edge of the nuclear abyss, every second of every day. Every second of every day.
If this weapon is ever ordered to be used by our president, it cannot be called back. It does not distinguish between men, women, and children. It kills not only people within a 50 square mile radius, but Mother Earth herself, the species, the trees, anything living will never be the same.
And I do want to take a minute now to talk a little bit about that clip, because not only is the film inspiring and very impressive, but I think one of the things, Dr. von Schlemmer, that you can probably talk a little bit more about last year was the fact that we had a couple of the nuns that are featured in the film. They came here to Central Missouri and talk about the impact that they had on the audience.
Well, it really added a new aspect to the festival, because we really hadn't had the subjects of a film show up before. So we've had filmmakers, and we talk about the filmmaking process. But with sisters Ardith Platt and Carol Gilbert came, and they were just amazing. I mean, this is what they do. This is their mission with the Catholic Church. And they came and they talked to classes. They talked to religious studies classes. They came and had a gathering at a church, a local church, and talked about their activist work, and really, and just the energy they had. Ardith had her 80th birthday while she was here at the festival, and she had more energy than anyone else at the festival. It was really a nice addition. And really, just to hear, I mean, you know, as a filmmaker, I'm so into the process of the filming itself.
Right.
But these films that are brought here, they really, it's the stories they tell, and these women that have spent, you know, a substantial portion of their adult life in prison because of the work they do, and they get out and they go right back to doing the work, doing their civil disobedience work. And in this case, it was a protest at a missile silo in Wyoming, I think it was, and they were arrested and put in jail for it. But you know, they kind of continued their work in jail. It's really a fascinating story. So it was really a fun film to share, and just you know, a great kind of a process to be able to watch and have the subjects they're talking about, as well as the filmmakers who talked about how they made the film.
And one of the things I think, Dean Nelson, that I'm always proud about the fact that we have this film festival here is that it's not purely entertainment. The social justice theme sets it apart from many other film festivals, which, you know, it's fine to have entertainment, but I think that's a unique aspect, especially within the college and a lot of the areas that we talk about within the college in terms of human nature, human expression, things like that. So when you look at this Show Me Justice Film Festival as a mechanism by which to effect social change, you know, can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned earlier the incredible power of film specifically as a vehicle in order to effect change?
Thanks for the question. There are a couple of things that one needs to bear in mind here, and this film captured all of these elements very well. First, we find that it's global. Second, we find that it is, as you noted, not only entertaining, but educational. And the third piece is that this is not only education for our students registered on the campus. It reaches into the community as a whole. And so in a way, we bring the film festival to the community. We challenge our students to engage in the issues raised. We challenge community members to make themselves aware of these various issues and participate in discussions. And we sit back, examine the issues from various perspectives, employ critical thinking and not attempting to influence perception one way or another, but ensuring that the information is provided and that individuals have an opportunity to further research the various issues that are raised and inform themselves and decide what action needs to be taken to advance social justice. In this case, we find that social justice means preservation of the planet, preservation of human existence, and along with our ecosystem. And so, yes, indeed, the power is broad and it is deep.
And without question, it can be very emotional, as you saw in some of the films last year. There were several, Dr. von Schlemmer, that came to the festival that I thought were particularly powerful. When students have the opportunity to engage with this, and you talk to them after the fact, what effects do you see, what kind of lasting effects do you see in students based on their exposure to films like this?
Yeah, there's so many different aspects. The film festival itself, just having a film festival on campus and in this region that has that social justice aspect is really, it is pretty unique. There aren't many other film festivals that have just that mission of social justice. So that's part of what they get to see, a film festival and the processes, which is really part of the exhibition system here in the United States. A lot of films go through the festival system first before they go theatrical or go to TV. Just the array of films, these are films that you just won't really see anywhere else. You really have to look hard to find them. Occasionally you'll see them on PBS, find stations like this. But some of them make it only off to the web after they're done here, or some of them will go on to theatrical release. But most of them aren't films you can find anywhere else. So you're being exposed to filmmaking styles, experimental, narrative, documentary films, in a wide array of levels of production quality, of budgets and things like that. So seeing diverse films and seeing films that really have messages, and that's something that I think is really important. You know, all of my students watch films, they watch TV, they watch, and I'm right there watching the mindless entertainment that we have out there. But a lot of what I do here at the university, I feel like, is talking about how film can do more and films can do more. And so the festival is a great example of this. These films that are just broadening our minds, broadening us to the things that are going on in the world, that definition of social justice, of giving voice to those that don't have a voice. And in a lot of ways, it's I like to quote the dean, the essence of democracy is social justice. And I really love that idea. And so you get to see these. And I've seen it in students, we're in our 5th year, I guess, coming up here, and seeing the sorts of films they make, getting them to think more about issues beyond just, going out and having a drink on Pine Street here in Warrensburg, or the troubles in their dorm with their girlfriend, and thinking a little beyond that. And those are all relevant topics, but even those topics can touch on more serious things. We had a great film last year that talked about a very kind of the gray line between a date rape and inappropriate sexual misconduct. And it was really a great conversation to have after that. It was called Jessica Walking, and it was a film that I saw at a conference and suggested and encouraged the filmmaker to submit it to us. But it's like that. It's films that can start a discussion about drinking, about sexual actions after drinking, and what are the implications of that. So really a lot of it is starting great conversations, and last year, like I said, we had the nuns there to help continue those conversations. But often the filmmakers that make social justice films are really kind of dedicated to the various topics they're exploring. So the workshops we do are often more hands-on, sort of how do you produce a film, how do you light a scene. But a lot of what the filmmakers talk about with our students as well is why they're making this film. These films aren't likely to make them a lot of money. These aren't blockbuster films. It's a tough time right now in the industry for independent filmmaking, but festivals like this are really the chance to get those films out, get them seen, and get the topics explored. So that's a lot of what I think the value of the festival to our students.
Well, in talking about the Dean's concept of a tool for democracy, if you will, I mean, one of the things that has happened for our business is an incredible democratization in terms of the availability of tools. Used to be that you had to have a lot of money to even hope to make a film, and today, if you have a cell phone, you can make a pretty competent film. So can you address sort of the democratization process on both levels?
Yeah, quite so. As a matter of fact, the audience should be aware that we have not only the Show Me Justice Film Festival, but we have a modern language film festival that's directed to high school students, and middle school students participate as well. And that's precisely because of the revolution with the technology that allows an individual to use a smartphone to create a film. Dr. von Schlemmer spoke just a moment ago about workshops. We have the opportunity now to provide workshops to high school students to help them utilize the tools as effectively as possible to create films, to conceive of the way to develop a coherent message and to convey that message through film. So the process of democratization is not only in conceiving of, not only of acquiring information globally, but actually acquiring the tools with which to create films to have that large message communicated as impactfully as possible. And it's accessible to almost anyone. So this is fairly remarkable happening in the age in which we live.
And certainly I know when my own past in documentary classes, I will always pull out a camera, and the first thing I say in class is, this is more powerful than a gun, it's more powerful than a tank, it's more powerful than any weapon you can think of, because you can change people's minds with this. And so I think that's one of the things with the Show Me Justice Film Festival is the idea is to show people things that perhaps will affect their perceptions of the world.
Absolutely. That's a great lead into our second clip, if I can jump in there, because that's kind of exactly what we see in that. It's from a film called Not Anymore, A Story of Revolution, that was directed by Matthew Van Dyke. And it's following several individuals in Syria that are capturing images from the revolution there on camera, on still camera, on whatever they have to capture the images, and share that with the world. And that's really a great example both of what the film festival can do, but of what film itself can do. And it's a really inspiring story. It's the one that won the audience award for that shorts program from the people that came out there that day. And so it's a really interesting film. So I suggest we take a look at it.
All right, this film is called Not Anymore, and I can tell you that I was one of those audience members that voted for this one. Let's take a look.
I used to wear fancy dresses and high heels, but not anymore. I'm 24 years.
So you're going to spend a good part of your 20s in war?
Yeah. I have to do this for my country. I have to give what I can give. It's pretty important to let the world see what's going on. You know, I think nobody knew Syria, even on the map, before this revolution, and now everybody knows what's going on in Syria, and that's because of the press covering what's going on. That's really important. Somebody has to see all this. Somebody has to know what this monster is doing to us and to his own people. And I'm making sure that somebody's gonna know. All the people in the world are going to see this, hopefully. See us suffering. See the civilians suffering. I mean, it's not a way to do this. It's wrong.
And if you have an opportunity to see the rest of the film, I highly recommend it. It's an excellent film. And one of the things I think, Mark, about these kinds of films is they're sort of like a canary in the coal mine oftentimes. I think about the current news content about Syria, what's happening in Syria, but you showed this almost a year ago now, And clearly this was made prior to that. So you really talk about somebody who is dedicated on the ground and trying to get a perspective out. And oftentimes what we see in these films that you screen in the film festival are leading the way towards something that's going to be a bigger issue.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that several times in the films. The very first year of the film festival, we had a film that was literally shot on a phone. And it was not a very complex film, and the guys that made it weren't even filmmakers, but it was short, and it had such a great message. And it was a guy talking, it's like kind of a selfie, talking into the mirror about how happy he was, because he was able to marry his best friend, and it was his partner. And while it was not legal in California at the time, they were joined, and and things were. I can't remember the name of it, but things were looking great right now. And that was 5-6 years ago, and since then that issue has become a hot button topic in the dialogue at the nation. And that was such a great experience. He came out for the film festival, and he went to every workshop, and because he wanted to learn more about film, because he had done this so kind of crudely, with a phone and things like that. And he had such a great time, and he, talking with people and meeting the other filmmakers and meeting students and talking about, people that were interested in the issue. So, yeah, several of the topics we've had have later become, a little more prevalent, and that's really interesting how film kind of leads the edge like that at times.
Well, and I think, when you talk about the college's role in all this, Dean Nelson, I mean, that's the point of a university, is it not? To lead people in ways of thinking and make them aware of things that may be boiling, may be percolating, to create that sense of awareness and knowledge about the world around us?
Yeah, quite so. And as everyone knows, the world has become increasingly integrated. And so we have eliminated the concept of vast time and space between and among the continents. Mm-hmm. So that one could be in New York in the morning, having breakfast, and expect to have lunch in London, and from there to Tokyo, and so on and so forth. It's a way we have radically changed our relationship with the planet and our relationship with time and space. The role of a university, this amazing asset in any community, is to provide that perspective within that community and help individuals to understand how inextricably linked they are globally. It has a very special message for all of us, including politicians of this generation and the generations to come, because policies will need to be made based on good information. And the role of the university is to help individuals acquire good information, analyze that information that will allow them to make coherent and useful decisions. So the Show Me Justice Film Festival is at its core an education for all our students and our entire community. So we invite community members to participate, not only to view these films, not only to embrace the entertainment elements that they may contain, but also look for the critical messages that very often, as has been noted, foreshadow discourses to come. So yes, and I give a challenge to the community. We think of it in terms of 50 to 75 mile radius, but we travel at such speed these days that it wouldn't be difficult for individuals to come 100, 150 miles to our Show Me Justice Film Festival. So we invite individuals to participate not only as observers and participants in discussions, but also sponsors.
Mm-hmm. Now, we only have a couple minutes left, Mark, but let's talk about that. If folks want to be involved in helping make the festival happen, what can they do?
Well, the festival really survives with the help of volunteers and really the support of the community. The university certainly is an intrinsic part of that community. So the first way people can help right now, films are being submitted from all over the world. We use a site called filmfreeway.com. You have a social justice film that you'd like to submit, you can go there and submit your film. Right now we're having volunteers start watching those films as they come in and give a rating on them and give a comment on them. So that's really open to anyone, and really anyone anywhere can help with that, as long as they aren't rating their own film. That would be awkward. But that's a great way that we're getting people involved right now, watching films, giving us feedback on that. From that we craft the program and put it together, and then toward the film festival itself, we have chances to help out with tickets, with popcorn, with hanging posters. As we get close to the film festival in April 7th and 8th this year, that's really where they can get even more involved. Sponsorships are always available as well. We're always needing help with that as well.
So we will have that information available on our website at kmos.org. And we're running out of time right now, but I do want to kind of thank both of you for being here today.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that the Missouri Arts Council has been a significant source of support for this event. And so citizens of Missouri can be proud of what their Arts Council does for the community.
And if you've never been to the Show Me Justice Film Festival before, I can tell you it is a great event, and you'll be proud after you go to it. So please check our website, kmos.org. We have all the information there to hook you up to Dr. Von Schlemmer and Dean Nelson, so that if you would like to volunteer or become a sponsor, you can make that happen. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman. Thank you so much for joining us here on Pause. We hope we'll see you at the Show Me Justice Film Festival coming up this spring. Thank you.